Hey guys, welcome back to the show.
That's right.
This is the Night Parade Podcast, the show where we shine light on the dark. Each episode, we present to you a case on all things true crime and paranormal. As always, we'll be your hosts. My name is Glenn.
And my name is Jan.
And we work together here with the team at Night Parade Studio to bring you this show.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, we want to know what you think of the show. Let us know by leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcast, or just down in the comments below. It would really help us out.
That's right. And again, this episode is going to be one crazy ride, so be ready for that. This is about the youngest person in Canada to be charged with homicide. Her name is Jasmine Richardson. She was groomed by her 23-year-old boyfriend, and this is a solved mystery. We'll be covering this case in detail. Here's the murder of the Richardson family. Let's get started.
Let's do it. So here we have the Richardson family. It's Mark Richardson, Deborah, Jacob, and Jasmine. And so let me tell you a little bit about the family. As a teen, Mark was in a biker gang, and he actually fell into substance abuse at a young age. In 1991, in Ontario, Canada, Mark and Deborah met at a recovery center. Deborah was also recovering from substance abuse, and Deborah was said to be very lively and outgoing, and that same year they got married.
Wow.
Yeah, just right after meeting, pretty suddenly, they fell in love. So, in 1992, they have their first daughter, Jasmine. Then Mark gets a job in Alberta, Canada. 1998, they have a son, Jacob. And then Mark had a stable job, which was good for him because, recovering from substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a lot of money, but he was a technician. Deborah was a sponsor for recovering substance abusers. So, all in all, they were on a good path. They were good people. September 2003. Mark, he got a promotion. So, they're able to move to a better part of town, and they get a bigger house. Deborah gets into holistic healing therapy. So, like Wicca and Reiki, which is kind of like energy healing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's something that I actually went over in my massage therapy school.
Really?
Reiki, it's like energy massage. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow.
Deborah opens a studio, decides for her holistic healing therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jacob and Jasmine, they were said to be very close. In a way, Jacob idolized her.
Mm-hmm.
They were both said to be like very normal kids.
Mm-hmm.
They were very polite and good students. And then in 2004, Jasmine turns 11. She seems to go through a goth phase and started wearing heavy black makeup, and she had lots of only black clothing. She started wearing dog collars too. Oh man, I remember going that kind of phase.
Kind of phase, Mom.
Don't worry about it. So she started using social media more often. Accounts like on MySpace, Nexopia, and something called Vampire Freaks.
Whoa.
She'd say she was 15 years old on these websites.
Oh.
So remember, she's only 11.
Right.
Actually, interesting. She actually looked older for her age. You could probably see in the pictures. That's what they said. So her biggest idols, she said, were Jeffrey Dahmer and Marilyn Manson.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's
Those are the wrong people to be idolizing.
Yeah. If you guys know anything about Marilyn Manson, he's under some shit right now. Her parents didn't know about these accounts, though. They didn't seem to care too much about this change in her. They let her express herself. So they were kind of like free-spirited. It's pretty chill.
Yeah.
She made lots of new friends on these social media accounts, though, usually older and usually other girls interested in local rock shows.
Okay.
Yeah. So these shows were usually meant for older audiences, and she would meet a lot of older men here.
Whoa.
Yeah. Mark and Deborah had no idea that she was going to these shows. And Jasmine, she would sneak out a lot. Eventually, Mark and Deborah found out, though, and they decided to enforce more rules on her.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, as any parents would, right?
Right, yeah. But like they say, the more rules that you put on your kids, the more they rebel against you.
Yeah.
It's true in some case, and
Yeah.
I guess one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
cases is Jasmine Richardson's case.
Yeah, seems like it. So then, since they were both ex-substance abusers, they were terrified at the thought of Jasmine doing the same thing, going down the same path.
Yeah.
So they would get into arguments a lot, them and Jasmine. And Jasmine, actually, she even tried to get put into foster care. Jasmine actually went to a strict Catholic school. She would still wear a lot of makeup, though, and whatever clothes that she wanted. So she was a bit of a rebel, straight from the beginning. One night at a rock concert, she meets a man, Jeremy Steinke, who is 23 years old at the time. And remember, she's 11.
Man,
Not a good thing.
it's not a good thing, man.
Here's a picture of him. Oh, man. So Jeremy himself, let's talk about him. He had a rough upbringing. Both of his parents, they had bad substance abuse problems as well. And it didn't really seem like they were able to get over it. When he was a baby, his father left him and his mother. All of his stepfathers following that would beat him and his siblings. So he was often abused, often being tied to a chair and beaten. Which is a horrible thing to do to a child.
That is horrible, yeah.
Yeah. So he also moved around a lot. It was hard for him to make friends because of this. And he would also get bullied a lot for the way that he looked. So I guess he was a funny looking kid.
Yeah.
As a teenager, he got into drugs, and he would tell everyone that he was a 300-year-old werewolf. He was a weird guy, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think, man.
He threatened to eat people, too.
Oh.
At 22 years old, he got into goth culture and rock music. Yeah, so this was just 1 year before he met her. And he got lots of tattoos and lots of piercings, and he started going to a lot of local rock shows too. At these rock shows, he would often meet younger girls who were attracted to him because he could buy alcohol and he had a car.
Just because he's older.
Because he's older. Man, this guy.
Jesus.
So in January 2006, Jasmine and her friend went to another concert. So her friend actually introduces Jasmine to Jeremy, and they hit it off. They would not stop talking to each other that entire show. And later, they actually exchanged numbers.
I just can't imagine it. It's so weird. Like you're a 23-year-old talking to an 11-year-old.
11-year.
And you cannot stop talking to each other.
What's interesting to me is that nobody around them said anything. You know, obviously this is
That's true.
You know, it's a 23-year-old dude with an 11-year-old, and so
Right.
you'd be able to tell.
Right. Even if she looked 15, she's still 11, and you'd still be able to tell that dude does not belong next to her or anywhere near her.
Yeah. Pretty weird. February 2006. Jeremy asked Jasmine to be his girlfriend. Okay, at this point, he was fully aware of the age difference.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, because, you know, eventually Jasmine had to confess to him.
Right.
And, you know, lo and behold, he didn't care. Because at first he thought she was 15.
Right. As she was telling him.
Still
Or
underage.
Right. It's still underage for a 23-year-old.
And then she goes and says, "Oh, sorry, I'm not 15. I'm 11."
And he's like, "Oh, cool." The fuck? What kind of... Bruh.
Oh, gosh.
There should have never been, like, this conversation between them two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it should have never happened. There's no confession that should have been made.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't have been involved with a 15-year-old. And now he's going to push.
Now that he found out
with an 11 or 12-year-old.
Oh, my God.
That's disgusting, bro.
You're sick, Jeremy.
You're sick, bro.
So remember that he knew that she was only 12 years old at the time. That she is in 7th grade, and he's 23 years old.
Jesus.
So actually, they start dating and going to local rock concerts together. They would talk on the phone all the time and also in online messages. And Jeremy would write songs for her and play them on his guitar.
Oh, Lord.
Jeremy.
Jeremy,
Writing
bro.
songs for 11-year-olds.
Come on, dude.
So Jasmine started sneaking out more often. So her parents decided to ground her when they found out.
Right.
And
As they should.
as they should, yeah, because I mean they don't know.
Right.
But I mean, obviously they should have because, look at what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Jasmine would often complain about her parents to Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
At first, their messages were talking about missing each other and loving each other and all that lovey-dovey stuff, which is sick. But then things started getting a little dark. Here is a couple of their chat logs. This is from him to her. You are a sight for sore eyes. I miss you more than I miss killing people. Can we get together and kill people together? That's what he's saying to this 12-year-old. And so she replies, killing people sounds like fun. And yes, I shall miss you too. A large, large amount. That cannot be contained in mere words. I love you.
What?
It's so cringe.
Okay, I don't know any 12-year-old saying using mere or as a in the sentence, like never. They're like, oh, you have games on your phone? No. That's it. That's all I hear them say. But this, it shows what kind of maturity she has over a lot of 11-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
And it's insane. It's insane.
It is insane because I get it. Like, she may seem a little older, but she's still 12, dude.
Whatever, point of view you look at it from, no,
they don't go together.
Nope, they don't. Well, at this point, her parents decide to check on her computer. So they log into it and they find everything that she's been doing behind their back. All the chat logs with older men, all the chat logs with Jeremy, and lots of provocative pictures of her, an 11-year-old. Her parents obviously are furious, but instead of punishing her, they decide to go to family counseling and try to understand her better. For the first few weeks, they actually grew closer as a family. Mark and Deborah felt they were starting to understand her a lot more. They actually let her go to, a rock concert, but they have to come with her so that, she'd be chaperoned throughout the night. And Jasmine agreed to it because, she probably missed going to rock concerts, right?
Right.
So they all go to a rock concert, and 30 minutes into the show, they lose Jasmine. They ask all her friends where she is. They search the venue. They find Jasmine in the back alley of the venue, and she's making out with, you guessed it, Jeremy, the 23-year-old. Mark and Deborah, again, are furious. They explode, yelling at Jeremy to the fullest and pulling Jasmine off of him while they were making out. So in front of the two, they're yelling at Jeremy, saying that he's a creep, you're a predator, and that he's disgusting.
All true.
Which you are. And they tell Jasmine never to talk to this man again. Because, this man obviously is grooming this underage girl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at this point, Jasmine feels like she's really in love with him. Because, like I said, he's been grooming her ever since they met. So she started to hate her parents in return. They take away her computer and her phone. Jasmine found ways to, different ways to talk to Jeremy. Jasmine found different ways to talk to Jeremy. So she started using computers at the library in her school. Wow. Together, they email back and forth. And this is one of their replies to each other in one of those emails. Soul Eater, which is Jeremy, and Runaway Devil, which is Jasmine. And this one is from Jasmine. So Jasmine says, and I quote, "So I have this plan. It begins with me killing them and it ends with me living with you, a reset. I'm going to try and call you, but I don't really know if I will be able to. They're treating me like shit. I hate them so much, but I hope this won't bring us far apart. I hope to talk to you soon. I love you with all my heart. Love." Again, you wouldn't expect a 12-year-old to be writing this.
Yeah, so this does incriminate her because it shows that it was her idea first.
Right, exactly.
This is interesting.
And then Jeremy replies. Jeremy says, and I quote, "Well, I love your plan, but we need to get a little more creative with the details and stuff. I wish they wouldn't treat you that way. Grr. It angers me to hear that, and I dislike them very much. Don't worry, I love you too, my sexy beast. I hope to hear from you soon too. Take care, my love. You have the key to my heart, and soon enough you shall have my heart if I die. Because if I give it to you now and I die, you won't be able to hear how much I love you." Which is not something you should be saying to a 12-year-old, Jeremy. What's wrong with you, man?
Giving a 12-year-old keys to what, Jeremy?
For real, like, oh my god, dude, like, what'd you say? Now, Jeremy would constantly tell his friends that one day he would kill Jasmine's parents. That she is so frustrated with them and she hates them, they don't take him seriously. In April 2006, Jeremy was smoking with his friend and he told his friend about the plan of Jasmine's parents' murder. He said he couldn't do it on his own and he asked them for, their help to do this murder, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Not kinda. It is crazy to ask your friends to murder somebody.
Yeah.
His friends just laugh it off like it was nothing and doesn't think that he's serious. He's not gonna go through with it.
Oh, that's just Jeremy.
Yeah, it was just Jeremy, man. So Jeremy asked a few other of his friends for help, and Jeremy feels that he had no choice but to kill Jasmine's parents because he thinks the only way for him to be with Jasmine is to do all of that. Jasmine would plead to Jeremy to do this, and I quote, "If you love me, you would do this for me," end quote. Which is really insane. I can't believe a 12-year-old is saying this.
Yeah. Her parents didn't even seem that bad.
Right. I mean, her parents just wanted her to be a good kid.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, but I guess her phase took over her.
I think it's the influence of being too mature for that age,
and then being around all these older guys.
Yeah, and
maybe
knowing that those older guys know better,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time they kind of like want to have their fun with her.
Yeah, or thinking that they know better because they're older.
Right.
But again, she doesn't know. She doesn't know better herself because she's 12.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it is. So let's talk about it. Saturday, April 22nd, 2006. The day that they executed the plan. So the Richardson family was actually having a barbecue that day. And Jeremy, he spent the whole day drinking, numbing himself for what he was about to do. Gosh, he drank a whole bottle of wine and a bottle of vodka. And he also did lots of Coke, not Coca-Cola. When he got to Jasmine's house, he threw a pine cone at her window. This was her signal to go down into the basement, open the window of the basement so that Jeremy could get in. Because Jeremy was so drunk, as he was climbing into the basement from the window, he actually fell over a bunch of things. A lot of furniture, and he made a lot of noise. So Deborah actually woke up from this, and she went downstairs into the basement because she thought it might have been Jasmine sneaking out again.
Right.
So at this point, she comes face to face with Jeremy, who was wearing all black and a black ski mask. He was holding a knife. When she saw it, she ran, but Jeremy grabbed her and began stabbing her. She tried to fight him off, but he was way too strong, and this actually woke up Mark because of all the commotion. And he was surprised to hear all this, so he grabbed his knife and he went straight to the kitchen. When they came face to face, Jeremy and Mark, Jeremy was actually scared of him because he was, Mark is a big guy.
Right.
he wasn't expecting this for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Think it through, Jeremy. So Mark lunged at him, wrestling him to the floor, and Mark grabs Jeremy's head, trying to shove his thumbs into his eyes, which was a good technique, except that Jeremy, he had a knife in his hand still, and he began to stab Mark in his chest several times. And then he overtook Mark, and that's what killed him. Then Jeremy dragged Mark and Deborah's bodies into the basement. Jasmine ran to hug Jeremy when she saw him, saying, "I'm so proud of you."
Whoa.
But there was still her little brother, Jacob. So Jacob had been awake because of all the noise. And when Jasmine went into his room, Jacob was he was huddled in the corner crying. It's really sad because he had his lightsaber just in his hand, just ready to fight off.
Right.
Yeah, any attackers. So Jasmine tells him that it's gonna be okay. She tries to calm him down, and she tries to put him in a chokehold to put him to sleep, so that he could die painlessly. It's pretty evil that she was still thinking about killing him at this point. So Jacob is actually able to break free from Jasmine's hold. So he runs downstairs and sees Jeremy, who's covered in blood. Terrifying. He yells, "I'm too scared. I'm too young to die."
Right.
Which is, it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking for sure.
Because he was too young.
Yeah.
At this point in the story, both Jeremy and Jasmine say something different happened. Jeremy says Jasmine killed Jacob. And Jasmine says Jeremy killed Jacob. At this point, we probably won't ever get a straight answer.
Right.
But after they killed the family, nonetheless, Jasmine goes upstairs to grab her things, and Jeremy waits in the car. While waiting, Jeremy actually has a panic attack and drives off without her, like leaving her at the house. Yeah. What a guy, right?
What a guy.
So at this point, it's 5:25 a.m., and Jasmine calls a taxi to Jeremy's house. And guess what? She finds him there. And she's able to calm him down. Then they go to a house party.
Excuse me?
Yeah, like nothing happened.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So then they go to a house party. While at the house party, they get crossfaded. And they start bragging to the people at the party about the murder that they had just committed.
Wow.
Jeremy's even quoted saying, "I gutted them like a fish."
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty evil.
That is.
That's very evil.
For you to be bragging about a murder.
Yeah. My God.
You have no heart to be doing that, dude. It's crazy.
So that Sunday, Jacob's church friend comes to the house because usually they play in the yard before church.
Right.
So he actually knocks on the door, and there was no response. But there was cars in the driveway, so there had to be people there. So he looks into the basement, and there he sees the bodies. He gets terrified, and he runs to tell his mom. And so she doesn't believe him at first.
Right.
I mean, there's bodies in the basement.
I mean, yeah. Probably like she would think like the kid's just really scared of the basement or something.
Yeah.
You know.
So she goes to check it out, and she sees the bodies in the basement. She calls the police, and they investigate the area. They find the bodies in the house, and at first they didn't think Jasmine was a killer.
Right.
Because she's just 12 years old.
Yeah, obviously.
And they thought that maybe she was taken for ransom. So they put an Amber Alert out there for her. After investigating, the police find blood on the light switch and the knife drawer at the crime scene. So this indicated that the killer knew where these things were.
Right.
The knife drawer specifically.
Right.
And so at Jasmine's school, when they investigate, they find that she actually tried to file for foster care a few times.
Okay.
So they tell her that she snuck out of the house a lot, and even Jasmine's friends also say that Jasmine had talked about killing her parents multiple times. There was also this hand-drawn comic in her school locker of a young girl setting her family's house on fire, killing them in the process.
Jesus.
So this indicated that she had some desire to kill her family. So police they began to look at her at more of a suspect than a missing person. They started posting wanted posters instead of missing posters, and her face was all over the news at this point.
Right.
And so Jasmine and Jeremy, they decided to go on a road trip with two other friends. And these friends had no idea about the murders that had just been committed.
Mm-hmm.
They go from Medicine Hat, Alberta to Leader, Saskatchewan, which is almost 2 hours apart. And the police, they were actually tipped off about this trip.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had cop cars camped out at every gas station in Leader. And this plan actually works because Jasmine and Jeremy stop at a gas station to get gas, obviously. And there were undercover cops waiting there for them. While there, the two friends actually see their wanted poster in the gas station. And they confront Jeremy and Jasmine about this. So Jasmine says that the picture doesn't even look like her. So at this point, they have to confess, obviously, to their friends that they committed a murder.
Right.
So the friends actually agree to try and cover for them if they get arrested.
Hell no. Just no, Glenn, I'm never covering for them. That is one thing that they should have never done, is try and cover for their friend's murder.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not good. Not good.
never covering for anyone's murder.
Yes, you're a criminal at that point. Yeah. So, after leaving the gas station, the cops, they follow them into a high school parking lot. 5 minutes later, the cops swarm the parking lot and surround Jeremy and Jasmine's car. 3 days later, the friends are let go. Well, I mean, because it took 3 days because obviously they're probably trying to cover for them.
Okay. But shouldn't they have been tried as well for like covering up and more
they were probably like asking them questions and then like eliminating them as suspects too.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, even then they were willing to cover for them. Shouldn't they get like sometime
I don't know, maybe.
Is that how that works? I don't know. Well, I'm asking if you guys know anything about the law or justice system. Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, let us know if you'd get jail time for something like that, for covering for somebody.
Yeah, because I mean, you are kind of like an accessory to the murder if you did like try to cover them, you know. So I don't know. They probably should have served some time. Just saying.
So Canada has this thing called the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Basically, it states that people are given lighter sentences if they are 12 years old or younger.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Jasmine was probably going to get a pretty light sentence compared to what she would if she was an adult.
Interesting.
In America, she'd probably get tried as an adult.
Yeah,
for something like
sure.
This.
So during Jasmine's interrogation, she was blaming everything on Jeremy, and vice versa. Jeremy was blaming everything on Jasmine, but the police pinned it mostly on Jeremy, the 23-year-old. The police couldn't get straight facts from both of them because of the blaming game, blaming each other. So they had to write each other letters, which they would read and, try to get clues basically from each other's letters.
Yeah.
And one of the letters that Jeremy sent to Jasmine was actually recovered. And here it is. I'll read it for the listeners. To Jasmine, dear Cuddle Bunny. Oh my God. I'm sure that you're right. What's done is done. You need not ask for my forgiveness. Indeed, in due time, our empire shall be complete. Before you, I was half, now I am whole. I can't go back to being half. You are the one that I breathe. You are the moon that breaks through the clouds at night. You are all I need. I long to feel your soft skin. I yearn for your kisses, for they get me high. I hope that you stay true to your words. I shall remain strong. Sometimes I have trouble sleeping at night, but I'm sure that the thought of you before will get me through the nights. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. In due time, we shall be together once again. But until that day arrives, stay strong, keep hope, and have faith. I love you with all my heart and soul. Never forget that, my love. Until we speak again. XOXOXO, Jeremy. Now, this is just one letter out of so many. The rest are just so cringy that we don't want to put you through that. Nor my. In one letter, he asked her to marry him. So at one point, they were engaged. Jeremy also had a fan base. Again, this strange phenomenon with serial killers, murderers,
Yeah.
that has some kind of fan base. It's
Oh my god.
weird.
Disgusting.
Dude, come on. Man. His fan base consisted of mostly teenage goth girls, and they protested the day of his trial, which is stupid. Whoever you are, if you went there, you're stupid. And on some days outside of his prison cell, they also protested. These goth girls were saying that he didn't do anything wrong. And I'm not saying that it's only goth girls that were saying this. I mean, there are probably some other, like, you know, some guys that were like fantasizing with Jeremy and stuff. And they were also saying that he murdered out of love, which is stupid.
It's still murder, first of all.
Yeah.
And-
it don't matter what you do for love. Once you kill somebody, that's wrong.
I mean, they're completely forgetting that she was 11 or 12 or whatever.
That too. Dude, that slipped out of my mind. Like, thank you for reminding me. But she's 11 and this guy is 23 years old. 12. It gives her one more year. I don't care. It's still underage for a 23-year-old. And again, he was able, or both these two were able to get in like kind of like one mind and be like, okay, let's murder Jasmine's parents.
Man,
That's insane.
that is insane.
Y'all don't know what you're worshiping. You know what I mean? Like you're saying you're so blinded with love, quote unquote. I don't see that as love, but you're also blinded by that you don't see the, you know, what started all this in the first place is that 23-year-old taking advantage of an 11-year-old who just so happened to look like a 15-year-old. It's
Doesn't make it any better.
yeah, it's crazy, man. Come on, dude.
That's crazy. All right, let's talk about the aftermath. So mid 2007 was the trial for Jasmine. She had about 90 witnesses who came forward, and Jasmine, she tried to plead not guilty because she was under the influence of a predator, which is true. So the max sentence that she could get was 10 years because of the act that we talked about
Right.
earlier. She got 6 years in prison and 4 years probation. Instead of prison, Jasmine got rehabilitative custody, which meant that she actually was sent to a rehab center. So she was given lots of therapy and medication, and well, she was diagnosed with a lot of mental issues, which were all undisclosed because she was underage at the time.
That's right.
This is what the judge said to her. You can't undo what you did, but you can dedicate your life to becoming the proud woman your brother and your parents would have wanted you to be. I don't think there is any justification for it,
No,
to be honest.
there's nothing. Doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, at 12, she was. You saw the text, or you saw the messages between the two. It didn't seem like a 12-year-old saying all that.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you're looking at that from that perspective, she should be tried as, as she was talking. Like, she's talking like she was,
Like an adult.
yeah, she was an adult. You have a plan of murdering her family.
It was premeditated.
Yeah.
Premeditated murder.
It's crazy for a 12-year-old to be doing that.
So, I mean, do you think that she should have got a heavier sentence?
I think so. I mean, man, it's hard, like, because, I mean, we're talking about, again, a kid here.
Yeah.
You know?
I think she definitely should have got more than 10, personally.
She at least should have gotten life, like you said. Because, I mean, that's what they would have given her over here, for sure. Or
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure they were. But 10 years seems to be too short for you to learn what's...
Yeah, for what you did.
Yeah,
I don't
to learn
think
what you did.
I don't think it matches the crime.
That's your mom, your dad, your little brother.
Yeah. That's Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it is because of this act, and when I'm sure when they were coming up with that law, they weren't thinking about 12-year-olds committing murder.
For sure.
In 2011, she was released from prison at age 19. So after that, she spent 4 years on probation. At 23, she was completely free of everything. She decided to change her name after that. I probably would too. And now she lives a very private life. So Jeremy's trial actually happened in November 2008. He almost had as many witnesses. A lot of them came forward. An undercover cop had actually been talking to him while he was in jail, and to get clues from him. Jeremy would brag about the murders to him, and to which he testified in the trial. So Jeremy pled guilty because obviously there's no way he's going to be able to prove his innocence.
Yep.
But he said that he did it out of love and self-defense. And
I don't know about love. I don't know if I call it love. So you did it for what you think it was love.
For what you thought was love.
Yeah.
Either way, it was illegal. So he was sentenced to life in prison. There you go. With no possibility of parole until 25 years.
Okay.
So today he's still in prison.
Yep.
And he was actually expecting Jasmine to come visit him in prison since she was getting out first. But Jasmine had actually been going through a lot of therapy, and she was realizing everything that was wrong about their relationship, and she never visited Jeremy, as far as we know. The fact is that he was the adult in this situation, and he should have known better.
For sure. Like I said, this whole thing would have never happened if you just leave minors alone.
Thanks for watching, guys. This was the horrible tragedy of the murder of the Richardson family. I'm sorry to anybody who knew them personally. This one's a pretty hard case to listen to.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, again, if you like this one, because it involves a child. But if you did enjoy today's episode, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell button so that you know when we're uploading these videos.
Yep.
With that being said, again, my name is Jan.
And my name is Glenn. Welcome to the Night Parade. So they put an Amber Alert out for her. Let me say that again. So they put an Amber Alert. Max sentence she could get was 10 years old, though. I had it, dude.
I don't know. It's because I looked down and I was like, Yep.
Damn it, I forgot to fucking write this part. Personally. What?
I don't know. I started laughing.
You want me to change it?
No. You're good. It's just, yeah.
I'm just reusing Junkos.
Yeah. The recycle is funny, bro. Yeah, I was gonna do the same thing with mine, bro. I was like, damn, the outro getting us all the time, bro.